She is the author of the DumpsterDogBlog. She's also a speaker. She does invested development. So Amanda Holden, come on out. Amanda!
Hi!
Hell yeah!
Hi!
This isn't the first time we've done this.
No, it isn't.
No, you were on the podcast.
I was indeed.
Yeah, the Lost in Portland podcast, for all those who don't know. We also have a podcast, so check that out on iTunes. Amanda, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be the second coolest Amanda on your show today.
So a lot has happened since we've talked last.
Has it? I feel like it's been a lot of behind the computer slow motion time, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell me what
I feel like you do a lot.
I try.
So you have this comedic approach to financial education. Tell me a bit about how you got started and how that all developed.
Yeah, so it might be helpful to know what I'm up to. My projects that I have a couple irons in the fire, so to speak. The DumpsterDogBlog, like you mentioned, but that focuses on financial education for young women, using comedy as the primary educational tool. But it's think like scrappy, no bullshit finance education, no inspirational quotes, no garbage, no news. It's just the information that you need to know to successfully get through life. Invested Development is actually my company. It's also the name of the speaking and the seminars that I do, which I generally do for women's groups or sororities or universities. I also do corporate speaking. That's the majority of my speaking, where I get up and I teach you everything you need to know about investing. Give me 3 hours, shove it all down your throat. Try to make it as palatable, as funny, as interesting as possible, which is a challenge, right? But yeah. with both, the ethos and my whole goal is we all know that there is a certain amount of financial information that you have to know, really, to get through life successfully. You have to know it, unless you have some other really sneaky plan. Maybe your plan is to ride some 93-year-old oil baron's dick until his heart explodes and you get that inheritance money.
That's one way.
Which, respect, if that's your game. But for those of us that don't take advantage of that particular path that is available to us, there is this set amount of information that you do need to know, and my goal is to try to make it slightly less terrible, which shoot for the moon, I guess. Yeah. But in Jen, the reason that I got into this is I worked in finance. I worked for an investment management firm in San Francisco. I did that for 6 years. Basically, my job was talking to old rich white guys all day and hand-holding them and letting them bitch to me about all their money. And so I got to a point where I was like, well, this is never really what I signed up for. I just needed a job out of college. So I bailed out of there, left, traveled for a while, and I thought I was going to leave finance altogether. I was like, I don't want to talk about money. This is not my dream. But while I was traveling, I was kind of like, you know what? Like I have spent the last 6 years helping all of my girlfriends learn all of this information because I happen to be the one that was working in the industry. And so maybe my work here isn't done. And so I decided to come back to Portland. Even though I'm from Portland, I'm newly back to Portland to work on these projects and to focus on educating young women in a way that's like a little bit new and different, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's hard though.
But new and different is your approach, and you have something specific to March that you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. So I call it dumpster dogging, but it's a no-spend March. So I'm not spending any money for the entire month. So, I mean, that's not necessarily true. I'll buy groceries. I am going to eat. It's not about starving myself. It's not about crushing austerity. I've said this before. I'm not going to go spend money at bars unless some fine ass man want to go out with me, and then I'm going to do it, right? It's not about cutting yourself off from things that you really want to do or that are special, but it is about stepping away from the consumerist machine. And so it's all groceries, all drinks at home, no shopping, no beauty, no Ubers, no trendy workout classes, none of that. And it's just save as much money as you can. It's kind of like the financial equivalent of a juice cleanse or something.
Yeah, yeah.
When, like,
a
wait-
total detox.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, like Sober January. I was trying to think of Sober January, but I was like, what's the name of that thing I never do? Sober January. Yeah, and so part of what I'm doing on my Facebook and on the blog is encouraging you throughout the month to do it with me, even if it's not a whole month, but taking a week. I mean, the reality is we are bombarded with consumerist messages all of the time, and what we're trying to avoid is looking back on the month. You can look back on a month and be like, oh, I didn't really do anything, I didn't really spend any money, and then you open up your bank account and you're like, holy fucking shit. And why? It's because spending is so frictionless, it's so easy, we do it mindlessly so many times in a day, that it's just about trying to quell some of that and trying to actually harness that energy into the things that I actually want to do, like actually make money running my business, actually reaching young people, being creative, focusing on my art, focusing on me.
Yeah.
And one way to do that is just to be like, hey, you know what? I'm not a consumer this month.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a dope approach. Just having a new perspective on how you spend your money.
Yeah.
Amanda, I think you're super inspiring. I hope this is just a taste of what people could find when they go to your speeches or the blog. Tell my audience a bit how they could find you on social media.
Sure. So, DumpsterDogBlog is definitely the home base. You can find everything there. On Instagram and on Twitter, I'm DumpsterDoggy. Now, my business is Invested Development, so my Facebook page is Invested Development, which I know is very confusing, but I can even link to it in the
comments below.
Yeah, wherever the comments are going to end up going in
Nice.
Facebook Live. But yeah, so obviously read the blog, always interact with the blog if you have questions about anything. I'm doing it to answer questions for people. Like, you have access to somebody that worked in the industry for years, so if you ever have any questions, you want to reach out, please let me know. And yeah, I mean, if anybody works for a business and you want them to pay to bring me in, which is a much cheaper than hiring your own personal financial advisor, the Invested Development talks are super fun.